I'd like to call to order the East Long Meadow Public Schools School Committee meeting, April 26th, 2026 at 5:36 PM. I'd like to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was powerful.
All right. Roll call. Heather, you want to start?
Heather Brown, Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning.
Anna Flanagan, Student Representative.
Gregory Thompson.
Carrie Jarzabski.
Antonella Rochilla.
Gordon Smith, Superintendent of Schools.
William Strother.
Amy Delenta.
Pamela Blair, Assistant Superintendent for Business.
Samantha Velasco, Secretary.
Yeah. Approval of minutes.
I'll move to approve the April 6, 2026 regular session meeting minutes as presented.
Okay, motion made by Greg,
Second.
seconded by Carrie. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Any committee and subcommittee communications? Start?
I have nothing to share. Thank you.
Okay.
We met last week for Lower Pioneer Valley's, their annual meeting, and went really well. The kids presented, the staff presented, and overall, it was just a really good meeting.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sydney Bistro.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything. Greg?
I'm all set, thank you.
So our annual ELHS art show is this Thursday, 6 to 7 at the high school. And then the Unified PE Olympics are this Friday, and we're hosting West Springfield and Longmeadow, like with our students also. This Friday is senior decision day, so all the seniors will be wearing their college or career shirts or whatever, just to celebrate commitment and a new chapter. And some of our Spanish students got the chance to do a week exchange in Spain with students who came to ELHS in the fall, so they got to go to school there, and that's pretty cool.
Nice. Thank you. All right. Let's go on to the presentations.
Okay.
Unless anyone wants to address the committee. Oh, go ahead, sorry. Usually don't have it.
Yeah, we do. Oh, have people know.
Yeah, I know.
This is what happens when we take the show on the road.
I know.
Yeah.
My name is Tia Mazza, and I am a resident of East Long Meadow. I live at 5 Heatherstone Drive. But I'm here as the high school nurse to ask you to please reconsider the proposed elimination of the health secretary position in our health office. I see every day how important this role is. Having a health secretary allows me to focus on what I was trained to do, assessing students, providing care, responding to emergencies, and supporting their health so they can stay in school. The secretary keeps the office running by triaging the steady flow of students, answering phones, maintaining records, and ensuring documentation is complete and accurate. Without that support, those responsibilities don't go away. They would shift to the nurse, taking time and attention away from the students. We have worked hard to improve how we document student visits, and we are now capturing every interaction more accurately than we did before. The numbers reflect what we experience daily. In March alone, there were 530 visits to the health office. That does not include the daily meds that come through. I have a G-tube feed outside of the classroom and the insulin throughout the day. So when those are included, it just feels like the workload is higher. There are also times when I'm called out of the office to respond to classrooms or the athletic field emergencies. In those moments, without a health secretary, the office may be left unstaffed. That raises real concerns about how students who walk in during that time will be triaged and cared for safely. From a financial standpoint, I understand that difficult decisions have to be made. This proposed cut raises important questions. The projected school budget for FY 2027 is approximately $38 million, and the health secretary position represents an annual salary of approximately $38,000, which is about 0.001% of the total budget. it's worth asking whether such a small savings is worth the added risk and potential liability. This position is a small investment that plays a big role in supporting our student health, maintaining accurate records, and keeping the office running safely. It's not just about numbers, it's about the students who walk into the health office every day needing care, reassurance, and attention. And removing the health secretary will directly affect how we interact with the students and how we meet their needs. So thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in. Gordon, do you want to, yep, you want to start with the presentations?
Okay, so our first presentation this evening is our fiscal year 2027 budget hearing, and as Ms. Mazza sort of brought to all of our attention, unfortunately, there is somewhat of a somber element to our budget hearing. Jamie, is it easier just to, yeah, there you go, okay. So every year, obviously, as we put together a budget, we're thinking of what our vision and our goals are, and we're always looking to support the whole child academically, socially, and emotionally. Our budget helps us do everything that we do, and certainly that was well articulated by Ms. Mazza. It hits all areas of school life. Some of the highlights that we've been able to accomplish over the last year is that we continue to make substantial progress towards targets in the DESE accountability system. At the mid-cycle, which took place in late February and March, we saw 91.8% of our students in grades 3 through 5 reporting that they're feeling welcome at school. So at the mid-cycle, 92.8% of our students are reporting that they have an adult in school to whom they can go problem solve, and 91% of our 6 through 8 students reported feeling part of their school community. In grades 9 through 12, 90.4% and 87.7% reported similarly to these same questions. One of the areas that we've been looking at over the last 2 school years is how do we do a better job in increasing our daily attendance and decreasing our chronic absenteeism. We're happy to report that currently our daily attendance rate is 95.9% for the district, and our chronic absenteeism has dropped to 5%. This was in the fall accountability for students in grades 1 through 8, and 7.4% for students in grades 9 through 12. 4-year graduation rate is 97.2%. And for students who stay with us, and most of our students do for extended time, that moves to 99%, or just over 99% actually, because the dropout rate is at 0.4%. And recently, our high school received an AP Silver Honor Roll Award from the College Board for increased enrollment in AP classes, AP scores achieved, and college credit earned. So we continue to make strides and show achievement despite challenges with our budget. And we know, and I said this earlier, but the school system's budget is the most strategic factor to impact students' success, allowing them to reach their full potential as the district meets its goals. We talked earlier as a group, but the public may not have been watching that, with the Financial Oversight Committee. And one of the things that we discussed was level services. At the beginning of the budget process, we always determine what the level services budget is actually for us to bring forward all programs, staff members, activities that we're currently doing in a given school year. That was calculated at 6.24%. What's driving that increase, given that there have been years where we've had level services closer to 3 or under 3% in years gone by? Some of it's just the annual inflation rate nationally. You're looking at 2022 ending at 6.5%. 2023, 3.4%. It went down a little bit in 2024, 2.9%, and then again in 2025, 2.6%. This is just really the cost of goods and everything that we consume, which obviously impacts schools. However, this year, given certain circumstances that are going on globally and domestically, we're looking at that inflation rate rise again at 3.3%. Massachusetts OSD department, which basically each year indicates what the level of out-of-district tuitions can increase. They do it in October each year for the next year, continues to allow out-of-district tuitions for our special education students who may need out-of-district placements to increase well beyond what we're seeing Chapter 70 increase, and in some cases, well beyond what inflation is showing at the end of the year nationally. So FY '25, that was 4.69%. By '26, they increased it to 3.67%. And for the next fiscal year, organizations that offer services for our out-of-district students will be able to increase by 3.04%. Another cost that has not been monitored as carefully or closely over the years is transportation. And we're seeing that transportation is a significant cost, especially as we see gas prices increase. And it's not one that's regulated, where at least you do have some regulation on out-of-district tuition, although we'd like to see that cap lower. We're seeing increases in FY '24 of 9%, last year 3.3%, and currently this year, this is projected, the way we're spending on transportation, it could be close to 11.6% in terms of increases over what we spent in the previous fiscal year. Inversely, or conversely, not sure which one I'm looking for, but differently than what we're seeing with inflation and with tuition increases, we're seeing Chapter 70 somewhat flatline. Chapter 70 is the funding formula that is for education in the Commonwealth, and we're seeing increases at 1.75% with fiscal year '25, fiscal year '26, 1.2%, and again projected next year to be an increase of 1.2% in fiscal year '27. So Chapter 70 is not keeping up with other costs that impact a school district's budget. This per pupil expenditure is just one of many different criteria that the state uses to compare districts. So it just gives you an idea first of districts in the Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative. State average per pupil expenditure, the data only goes to fiscal year '24, was $23,165. And then you can see how the districts in the LPVC stack up. We're somewhat in the middle at $20,455. One thing that is a good point to make is this is a Department of Elementary and Secondary Education calculation, and basically it's taking your district's budget. In that budget are things that you might not immediately apply to student support and academics, things like building maintenance, things like benefits for all employees. It's pretty much your entire operational budget, and then it's divided by your student body. That's how they come up with the per pupil expenditure. When you look at districts that DESE, or the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, likes to compare East Long Meadow to, districts like Sandwich and Triton, Danvers, Norton, Dartmouth, and East Bridgewater, we fall a little bit from sort of the middle of the pack more towards the final three there, as you see, per pupil expenditure. Given that the last 2 school years, we have reduced positions and dealt with budget challenges, my guess is when you look at FY 2025 when they calculate it, and ultimately down the road when they calculate per pupil expenditure for FY 2026, you're going to see that number drop. Ultimately, when the budget's finalized, what does it look like? Over the course of time, these are the increases we've received from the town. And the town is always very supportive and collaborative with us in terms of developing the budget and trying to support education in the best way possible, given that they also are funding every department in town. But in years 2015 through, say, 2022, anywhere you were under 2% generally meant we were in a situation we were eliminating positions. That's changed pretty much because of the slide that I showed you, some of the driving factors for why we're seeing level services now approach 6% and higher. So now we're eliminating positions when we're possibly looking at getting 3% from the town, an increase of 3%, as you look at FY 2027 to meet that, because we know level services was 6.24, we're going to need to eliminate up to 6 positions. And depending on where the town's budget finally lands, because the town budget process does not finish until May, if that were to reduce, then we would need to come back to the drawing board and look at where else we can make changes. So what have we done to go from 6.24 to 3%? Basically, the first thing that the school committee, and I applaud them in this effort, always looks to do is where can we reorganize funding? Where can we freeze funding before we hit the actual people who are doing the work with our students? Because the heart and soul of what we do is that interaction, human interaction with students. So first, we looked at, and we were always very thankful for all of our bargaining units. You can see, first, we were able to freeze curriculum renewal, but number two, we worked with the East Longmeadow Education Association to once again have a memorandum of understanding and freeze the individual professional development money, 650 individuals within that contract, in that bargaining unit, contractually can take a workshop, a course, and once they've completed that workshop or course, be refunded or reimbursed up to $650. They worked with us, and we're freezing that for one more year, and that's $130,000. We looked at the different personalized learning software packages that we use, and we're able to make a change. None of these changes, I should say, and I apologize that I didn't preface with this, do we see as good changes that are benefiting or moving the district forward. But these are changes that we would be or are willing to make prior to having to make the much harder decisions around eliminating positions. So we were able to reduce or save with some reduction in personalized learning software, $51,000. We're managing and using school choice the last 2 years differently than we ever have before. There was a time when we first entered into school choice after a hiatus of about 10 to 15 years, where we were utilizing the school choice money for situations that were unforeseen or for one-time purchases that maybe could not be picked up through the annual capital planning process. Unfortunately, we're now utilizing school choice money to help balance the budget. And so we feel that we will, at the end of this fiscal year, have about $150,000 in that revolving account to roll over, and we're going to utilize that towards next year's budget. Then we're going to expand the amount of school's choice slots that we currently have in the district and add 25 more slots across grade levels in all schools. And then finally, one thing that school districts can do is that they can prepay both special education tuition and or collaborative tuition. And we feel that we can, at the end of this fiscal year, prepay $225,000 towards the vocational tuition at the LPVC. So all of that brought us to about $761,000 of savings against a deficit of 1.1 million. So obviously, we hadn't achieved closing that complete deficit. About 433,000 remained. In March, we as a district were notified that our Title I grant for next year would be cut by at least $23,000. We're hoping that that's all it's cut by. Title I does fund certain positions that we use for tutoring and student support. So $23,000 is a significant reduction for us. And that brings the deficit that we were working on to $456,368. So unfortunately, that brought us to a position that we were in last year with a little bit higher deficit last year, but still with a deficit of that $456,000 and change. Last year with the higher deficit, we had to eliminate 20 positions ultimately by year's end. This year, we're hoping that we can stay within that smaller amount and achieve this predominantly through attrition. What does attrition mean? It means that folks who were expecting a position to be there in the fall, for the most part, that position will be there because you're looking to where you can not fill a retirement position or a position where there was a resignation. That unfortunately didn't happen with all positions, but to the extent that we could do this this year, the school committee felt that that's much more beneficial if we go that way than what we did last year, where unfortunately we had no choice. We eliminated 20 positions, which then disrupts more than 20 individuals because when you're dealing with collectively bargained contracts, there are what they call bumping rights, and seniority plays a role. And so there's a lot of navigation, if you will, which sounds very strategic, but unfortunately, when you get to this point in the budget process, it becomes somewhat emotional, given that you're dealing with human beings and positions. So ultimately, to get to that final 3%, the school committee did vote at an earlier meeting to not fill a Meadowbrook kindergarten retirement position. They also decided not to fill an ELHS business retirement position. There is a paraprofessional position that's going to come open due to retirement, and they're not going to fill that. There was a classroom teaching position at Mountain View where there was a resignation, and currently there's a long-term sub. That long-term sub assignment will end at the end of this school year, and then that position will not be filled. There will be a Maple Shade classroom teaching position that will also need to be reduced. And then finally, the position that we actually heard Ms. Mazza speak about, a clerical position at ELHS. So those 6 positions currently will get us to that remaining gap or deficit should that 3% hold. So we're hoping and that fingers crossed that that 3% will hold through the rest of the town's process. Otherwise, we will have some work to do later in May. So what does all that mean? Well, level services, returning all staff and programming meant an increase. We needed an increase from the town of about 6.24% or $2,301,218. Between January and now, we've worked to reduce that request from 6.24 to 3% to cover not only the deficit, but also the Title I funds for FY27 that have been reduced. And we already were able to, through other strategies, reduce $761,000 of that deficit. But to close the full deficit, we needed to reduce the request by 1.2 million or $1,217,368. And that ultimately at 3% would be the request that we ask of the town, which brings the entire budget to 38 million, 38,001,854. Sorry. That, however, does not tell the whole story, because like any other school district, so 38 million that we're hoping to have as an operational budget from the town, really, if you look at this chart, is only the beginning of all that we do and all that we manage in order to bring the programming that we have going on in our schools on a daily basis. Then we add in grants such as the Title I grant that I've talked about, which looks like it will be reduced by at least 23,000. We have Title IIA, Title IV. We have special education early childhood grants. We have the Department of Public Health comprehensive school health grants. We have the METCO grant. We have and this is a big one, special education IDEA grant, which is huge in helping us cover the costs, especially for out-of-district tuition of our special education students needing out-of-district support. We also have a really incredible group in town, the East Longmeadow Educational Endowment Fund, who offers mini grants. And this past year gave out $50,000 in mini grants that help support our classrooms across the district. Then we have revolving accounts that contribute to what we do on a daily basis, such as the athletic revolving, which is where the athletic user fees and the gate fees are collected. Preschool tuition for students who pay to come to our preschool. Transportation, the fees that we collect on transportation. Circuit breaker, that's actually one that's funded through the state and deals with special education, and it's somewhat of a reimbursement program, if you will. You get it a year after you've expended the money, and hopefully you achieve being reimbursed 75% of money spent over, I think we're up to close to 50,000 now.
Which one? I'm so sorry.
Circuit breaker.
Yes, it's a little over, about 54,000.
54,000. So after a district expends 54,000, money that is spent on in supporting a student beyond that 54,000, you put in, we just did this at the end of March, you put in the services and the detail around what was expended, and you hope to have that reimbursed up to 75% of the money beyond the 54,000 that you've spent. It's quite the process, and we're very thankful to have our folks in student support services who help make that happen. School choice is a revolving fund that you've seen throughout this presentation that we're utilizing quite extensively now in balancing our budget. When you add all of that in, really what drives the East Longmeadow Public Schools is a budget more to the tune of $42,383,402. Just drink that in a little bit. As we did today, and as we will continue through the month of April, for the final week of April and into May, we're always going to work with the town to be fiscally responsible. But we also have a mission. Our mission is to support our students in their continued progress and growth. And figuring out how we balance those two is always the huge challenge at budget time. With that, questions? I don't know if we have anybody on. Do we have anybody online? Jamie?
Oh, she's not there.
Okay,
Nobody's raising their hand, though. They can see the attendees.
okay,
We're all set. Good job, Gordon.
All right,
all right,
thank you, Gordon. Thanks, Pam.
okay.
All right. Next item, Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning Report.
And I don't think I have the right adapter, so
Okay.
I'm just gonna
What you call
Through it?
have it in front of you.
Dongle.
Dongle,
Yeah, it doesn't have HDMI, which I'm so sad about.
So it's got this in your packet.
Yes. So the first thing in the packet is the Early Literacy Consortium grant. We have been part of the Western Mass Literacy Collaborative for a while, which is local universities that are preparing teachers and other school districts. And so the major one has been Springfield Public Schools. They invited us to be part of this. We were able to do a number of things. And the past 2 years, they have offered us slots to attend professional development around the science of reading. And this year, the grant will pay for 4 teachers to attend the online literacy and, language and literacy academy. And they get a stipend if they complete it, everything they're supposed to do, of $2,000 each. So basically what we need you to do is approve basically $8,000 from this grant to then reimburse folks for completing the course. You do that if you have any questions for me.
So the grand total amount is 8,000?
Yes.
A motion?
Yes, can someone make a motion?
I would move that we accept the grant from the funds to pay teachers to attend literacy and professional development in the amount of $8,000.
All right, motion made by Greg.
Second.
Seconded by Carrie. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you. One thing I didn't mention is that in the past, it's only been for elementary teachers, but this year they opened up 2 slots for secondary. They have they created a secondary curriculum for the teachers, and so high school English department head was able to attend, and a 6th grade ELA teacher. Great that they've expanded to the secondary. All right. And the second thing I was going to talk about was a WestEd study that we'd like to be part of. WestEd is a research organization known for the research that they do around education. And this one is specifically for math curriculum implementation for 6 to 8. Now, our 6 to 8 has had illustrative math for a few years. But this year we're doing, or next year, we're doing a reset where we're really asking folks to implement with fidelity. In the past, I've asked folks to implement with integrity, and that was interpreted in many different ways. And so I take full ownership for that. So fidelity is really close to how the curriculum is supposed to be instructed, with the idea that we can make changes to it, but first we have to, if you will, follow the recipe before we can make changes to the recipe. And so what's cool about this implementation study is it does a few things for us. It not only provides us with lots of qualitative data about the students' experiences around things that we're really looking for, right? Like dialogue or feeling like they are engaged in the class, the collaboration, all these different things that we're hoping for when we look at math classrooms. But there's also incentives for teachers. So teachers who complete the 3 surveys a year get $200 each. And there's an implementation committee of 4 people, and each of those people get a $1,500 stipend, and they will give us $2,500 towards professional development. So it feels like a win-win. I'm asking folks to implement with fidelity and create and do these surveys so we can kind of monitor our implementation, and then folks will get a monetary stipend in return. So I am asking your permission to be part of this WestEd implementation study.
Are you able to see on the program, like how many teachers are using it, or?
So if folks were using the online portion, which they do use more in 6 to 8 than the elementaries don't use the online as much, which makes sense. Next year, I'm purchasing all of the workbooks that go with IM360. And so that will be one way to kind of see how kids are progressing through. We have pacing guides, we have trackers, we have different ways of doing that. But what's great about this is it's really about the the teachers are self-reporting and the students are reporting. So we'll have that extra layer of just how are things going. And they're also thought partners to help us if things, if we're not able to do this with Fidelity, what are the barriers and what do we need to do? So I'm always excited when these folks come around and say, we want to study you and we're going to give you all this data and money. And so, sounds great to me.
Heather, how are those stipends being paid?
So
From-
have to accept this, and then based on that, we would go through the same process.
Okay, so it's a grant?
Yeah.
You don't know the amount of the grant?
So it would be 200, what I would do is encumber the 200 per person for the surveys, encumber the 1,500 per people, and then they would get the money based on whether they completed the surveys or not. So I don't exactly know how it goes if we don't spend it all, if we pay it back to them. I don't know the specifics of the financial piece because I just needed folks to say, yes, we can go forward, and then I'll know.
Okay.
So we'll need a motion to participate, and then later on, after we know the dollar amount, we would need to accept the grant
Yep.
at a future meeting.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move that we allow the district to participate in the West Ed math curriculum study.
Motion made by Greg,
Second.
seconded by William. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And it passes 5-0.
And the last one was that we were recently completed our 5-year TFM, which tiered focus monitoring of our English language learner program. And not only did they not find any findings, which is a good thing, you don't want them to find findings, they were so impressed by the work that the ELL teachers are doing and all the general ed teachers and other staff members who support our multilingual learners that they have asked us to come and present at their June 5th meeting. So I will be attending with the department head, Andrew Jambroni, to talk about our asset-based approach to English language instruction. That was very exciting.
That's great.
And that's it for me.
Right. Moving on, new business.
Okay, so we have folks here from East Long Meadow High School. I'd like to present on the program of studies for next year and some changes to the guidance program and community service.
Evening, everyone.
Frank?
Just before we jump in, I got a couple more plugs. We got a busy week at the high school. One, we also have our drama club production Friday and Saturday night, 7 p.m. The Performing Clue. Kids have been working extremely hard the last month or so preparing for that. So if you're around on Friday or Saturday night, it's going to be a great show. Also, for any of our parents who might be listening who have students who are juniors, we have our junior college planning night this Thursday before the art show. So, you can double dip on Thursday, hear what the different local colleges have to offer. They're going to be talking about the research and the process that goes into it. We have representatives from UMass, Westfield State, Springfield College, and WinU from their admissions offices and just kind of talk about what they look for in the application, what kids should do to prepare, things like that. So it's a great evening. We ran one very similarly in the fall for our seniors. We figured we'd front load in the spring for our juniors as well. And it should be a great evening. So that's up in the high school library.
Is that just a presentation in the auditorium, or is it like booths, or?
It'll be in the library at the high school. All the guidance department will be there to kind of front load our junior families with what services we offer at the high school and how we'll walk their seniors through the application process. But then if you have direct questions about, well, how does this look to a specific college? We have 4 admissions counselors going to be present there to answer any questions that you may have that we can't necessarily answer. We want to connect you to those resources directly.
We set up like a panel. That's how we ran it in the fall. It was a great event. I thought parents really appreciated it, students appreciated it. It was very informative. I only have middle schoolers, but it definitely piques some questions for myself and listening to what they had to say, so.
And so this is one of the opportunities that we've presented parents this year. We've been doing one once a month. And so this is the April one.
Nice.
Okay, so, beyond that, we're here tonight to just talk a little bit about our program of studies update. This year, we don't have all the classes we've added in the past, like transition to the true credit offerings a couple of years back. So in terms of the actual curriculum, the one thing we are looking to add going into next year is a 6-credit algebra class. And we are looking at running this as a smaller cohort going into next year, as we've mapped it out and we've done some planning in terms of what makes sense for us to pilot this program. Similar to how we run our team model for our freshmen, where we work with Birchland to identify kids who might need this additional support. Instead of running that traditional 4-credit algebra class that runs from September through June, we wanted to add on an additional 2 credits to the course to support kids who might need a slower, more deliberate pace, and get that additional time in their algebra class. So we have this mapped out. We have the units mapped out in terms of what would be taught. We have the teachers identified, of what we're seeking tonight is just the approval. We're looking at, again, running this for about approximately 40 students, 2 sections of it, to support those kids who might need that additional time during their freshman year transitioning and gaining those foundational skills in math to prepare them for that 4-year progression. So.
I will add, as the freshman guidance counselor, we see students have a stronger foundation in that algebra class. Their grades through geometry and algebra 2 have gotten better as we support that foundation, those foundational skills.
And speaking with our math teachers as well, what they say is the building of the foundation in algebra reinforces the work that they do in algebra 2. Geometry is a different type of math. It's that more conceptual approach. With the algebra, really what we're trying to do is make sure that they have those foundational skills going into that junior year and then when they do their senior year math as well. So.
Will the foundational class still exist?
So.
Don't we have that now?
Yeah, the students who we've been putting into the foundation course, which has that combination of math and English skill work, 2 of those credits are basically, in a sense, being pulled out, and the kids would take an elective offering the opposite of those 2 credits of those additional math credits.
So kids that are taking this class would not be in that foundational class?
No.
And what's the difference between the foundational class, besides it being English and algebra, in the curriculum that's being taught in that one?
So the foundational course is skill building. They more respond to some of the deficiencies they might see in the classes now. It's a combination of math and English where they alternate. The algebra course is spreading out and slowing down the curriculum. So the plan is to literally run the curriculum through that course versus a reinforcement and a skill building approach during that time.
Two different teachers?
One teacher.
So they'll have the same teacher throughout?
Yeah, so the person who would teach the 6 credits for each of those sections, he would teach all 6 credits of it. I say he because we know who's going to be running it.
So right now, algebra is only half a year, is that?
It's a full year, 135 sections, 135 classes over the course of the year that meet, because we have that drop schedule where, 3 out of 4 drops. So they would pick up an additional 40, hold on.
If it's every day, 45, yeah.
So are they in,
So it'd be 45 days.
Are
approximately.
all 40 of these kids in, like, is it just a longer algebra class, or is it 2 different classes?
It's going to run during a separate block. Yeah, it wouldn't run during the same, it wouldn't run back to back. It's going to run during a separate block.
So is it almost like tier 1 and tier 2, they get the full curriculum, and then the second block would be to address any kind of gaps or misunderstandings?
Yeah, there's certain standalone units that run at the end of the year that, I think we know this in certain curriculum, like you get to as much as you can as you continue your pace, but the hope is to slow down the pace while pulling out units like, I think statistics is one of them, where that would be taught as standalone during that time, so they can spread out the other.
So it's not necessarily intervention, it would just be to make sure that they.
Slowing down and spreading out the curriculum over all of the sections. So the plan is to run it in cohorts, where one cohort would take it terms, those just additional 2 sections during terms 1 and 3, and the other ones would take it during terms 2 and 4.
So are all 40 of those kids in the same algebra classes the whole time?
Yes.
And whoever's teaching, and it's one person teaching all of those classes?
So it's 2 sections, approximately 20 students in each section.
But that person, they're teaching the 45-minute one, right?
Say again?
It's not 45 minutes, it's term, so it alternates based on the term. So term 1 and 3, you would have that that additional math block in your schedule, where 3 and 4, you could pick a different elective.
And 3 and 2 and 4.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think about, and I'm probably missing it, the curriculum
Yep.
that's being taught, but these kids, they're going to be in the same class together for both of these
Yep.
things, and it's the same teacher
Yep.
for both of them. So there won't be any gaps or questions about, oh, we already did this in this class, or that.
Making sure it's with the.
Okay, that's what I was trying to.
We had talked about that, I think, the last time when we were kicking around this idea about a month ago, 6 weeks ago. We took that feedback, we talked that piece through. It made sense to keep it with the same person, which is why we're also starting with that number of 40, and if we see that in future years, we might need to increase that number from 40 to a higher number, whatever it might be. We could potentially layer in a second teacher who would also have those same 2 sections that they would run opposite of each other like we're running it.
Are these students taking some kind of skill test when they first come, or is it based on grade?
We're going to be basing it on 8th grade iReady data, grades in the classes, and teacher recommendations.
And all the 8th grader students take a final at the end of so we'll also be using that data as well as a data point to be looking at.
Because you might want to give them a test when they first get there too, just because sometimes they might not try their best on some of those tests.
Yeah.
Just to see if they should really be in there.
The incentive of appropriate placement.
Yes.
Is always an enticing factor for them to try hard on that final. But I totally get what you're saying as well. That also, they're not in school for 8 weeks or whatever the summer is. They might not retain it all. So that is information that we can definitely go back to and just verify.
So these students are essentially going to lose a choice elective to get the additional support?
So right now, we work with Birchland and identify a cohort of students who need that additional support, and we put those kids on our team, and those kids are now in our foundations block where they get that additional math and English support already. We're taking that foundations piece out, adding 2 credits of algebra, and then they'll take an elective opposite. So they might not have the 4-credit elective, but they're going to be picking up a 2-credit elective as opposed to just being a foundations math and English tiered support block.
So in a way, they're getting more elective than they were before.
Than what we would typically give those kids who might need that additional support in math and English, yes.
And in the off chance that in this slowdown, like the student is progressing faster than you had thought, is there an opportunity to change their placement?
The hope would be that we'd identify those students early through diagnostics as opposed to later into the year, because I think we all know as the farther you get into year, the trickier it is to move schedules, especially when one section's running at a 4 credit, one's running at a 6 credit. So the pacing is going to be different between the two.
I see that.
So,
You could do semester classes,
Mm-hmm.
just because we do something similar at my school, where you could give them a diagnostic mid-year, and that's also another incentive for them maybe to not want to be they want to get out of the class or something as well. So you could do something like that.
Are you looking at this, I mean, in some ways as a pilot to see how this experience goes, like with the idea that you might want to revisit at the end of the year?
so next year will be our 4th year of identifying a cohort of students who need additional support during their freshman year to help with that transition. We've done, the last 3 years, we've worked with varying models of the foundation block to support kids in that transition. This is a little bit of shift away from that, but the idea is to still identify kids who need that additional support, because where we see most kids struggle when they transition to the high school is math. So if we're looking at failure rates, Algebra 1 is one of our highest failure rates when it comes to end of the year and having to repeat and kids going to summer school. So we're trying to more go at it with a scalpel and be very specific as where we need to help kids transition,
How will you determine kids that go into this class as opposed to the foundational class?
So we're scaling back the foundations for the freshmen going into.
Okay, so that won't even exist freshman year. Okay.
Budgets are tight.
Oh,
Some of the, I'll just be candid, some of the cuts that we've made in the last couple of years, and this isn't anybody's fault in this room, have impacted how we've run some of our foundational programming. So we're trying to also kind of work within the confines of what we have, like 2 years ago, we had about 100 freshmen in the foundation blocks because we could spread them out and get more kids into it. This year, we significantly had to shrink that, and we're just tight, so.
Since the elective is like, if you're taking the second algebra block, like term 1 and term 3, the electives are gonna be like 2 and 4, or vice versa. How is the learning gonna go through the electives since you're splitting it up? Like, is it gonna be you're learning one thing in term 2 and one thing in term 4? Or is it like a continuation and you're just like missing that whole?
So it's going to be a 2-credit elective that you would take where you're going to have certain units that run in term 2 and then a separate one in term 4, or if you're in the opposite group, certain units in term 1 and then different units in term 3. So options that we're looking at giving them are things like art, right, where you're going to have that. It's probably going to be 2 units per term. When that second unit wraps up, it's kind of like a pause button, and then you're going to pick up where you left off with that continuation when you go back into the elective.
So like, my concern is like, if it's an elective that's like continual and you have to like keep learning things throughout the year, like the students are gonna go to that math class and be like, oh, math, whatever, and then they're gonna go back to the elective and they're not gonna remember anything from the first one. Like, that's just, I don't know.
The plan is to identify, we'll just say accessible electives, ones that you don't have to have like that skill, where you can take a gap in that skill work and come back to it, so.
anyone else? No? All right, does someone want to make a motion?
Through all of it first, or you want to do it?
Oh,
There's more in the community service modification.
for this one, though?
Well, it's all part of the program of studies.
Oh, all right then. No, you can keep going.
All right.
Thought we would just do one at a time, but that's okay.
You're the boss.
No, that's all right. Keep going, Frank.
Okay, all right, so the next piece is it's a modification of the community service requirement that we have at the high school. So Mark Macarini came to me with this idea probably about 2 months ago. just based on experiences he's had working with students in his role as a career counselor and also overseeing the community service requirement for students, where he wanted to re-envision some of the work that that we do in the department, but also how students move through their hours. So, so I know he's gotten feedback from varying groups. Greg, I know he met with you to talk about this idea. There's other layers to it that he's hoping to work in terms of things like scholarships and doing things with the Rotary Club over time. But the bare bones of the idea, and as he and I talked, you'll see pieces of it in there where I've also incorporated my own thoughts here. But the department as well, we collaborated, we talked through what a 4-year progression might be and what might make sense. But long and short, the idea is taking 10 hours off of that 40 hours of community service, reallocating those 10 hours to almost like a guidance graduation requirement, which I know is unique. I know a lot of schools don't have that. But just based on feedback that we received from different members of the community, also feedback we received from kids, we think that this makes sense as a way to move students through our guidance curriculum over the course of their 4 years. So the proposal would be during their freshman year, students will be introduced to the value and importance of community service through the idea here is it's almost like that Springfield College Civics in Action Day, where they would have a community service project that they would be released from school time to participate in some type of community service in the community. This would be coordinated by our career center. During their sophomore year, students will participate in career readiness and seminar hosted by the career center. In addition, students will complete a recognized career interest survey assessment. These experiences will assist students in identifying personal strengths, interests, and potential career pathways. Junior year is where it starts to become more individualized for the students. Students are going to be required to either complete a job shadowing experience, conduct or participate in a formal interview for a job, do a college campus visit, attend a college representative presentation, or meet with a military recruiter. So we're starting to push the kids to have some of those individualized experiences in terms of what their next steps might be. The idea with each of those first 3 years is it would shed about 3 hours off of their community service for each of those years as they're completing these tasks. And then in the senior year is that one last requirement, which would fulfill that 10th hour, would be for the students to complete their exit survey and also complete their exit interview with their counselor to talk about what their plan is for what comes next. One of the things we've heard from students, and Mr. Macarini talked this through with the kids, so we offer a lot of these things, but the students on more than one occasion said, I need to be forced to do it, So we have a lot of kids who do these things anyway. They've participated in a lot of these experiences that our guidance department does offer, but we do have some kids who need to be pulled a little bit along. And it also, ensures for us too that by working into the requirements that we're hitting all those kids and nobody's kind of slipping through the cracks. So, so this is just, I know it's a unique idea. It's a little bit different than what we typically come to you guys with. It is a modification of our graduation requirements. We don't want to put more on our kids because they already have a lot on their plates that they have to do to meet our graduation requirements. So that's where the idea was to pull off those 10 hours. But I think all the things that we're outlining here is valuable, and we'd love to see every one of our graduates, make sure that they have these experiences before they leave us. So
if I could just add, I think it's great for our students to make them more active. I think they go through all these experiences with us in the guidance department, and they don't even realize we're talking about these big things. And so when we talk with them, we're like, did you know that you did this? They don't even realize this. So by putting these graduation requirements in place, it's making them more of an active learner and experiencing it and identifying oh, I did this without even realizing, oh, I met with the college representative. They were at the high school, Miss V sent a pass. We do these things, but they don't even recognize what a big step that is for them. And so this makes them more active in it, but also it makes the guidance counselor more consistent. And I think those are two big words that we've been working in our department this year, of having us being active, but also being consistent, that every student receives the same level of guidance counseling across the board. And so this proposal really stresses that we are being consistent with our students. Everyone's leaving the guidance department having the same kind of requirement or experience from us. And that the kids are not just passively doing these things, but they're actively taking a part in their college research and their career and post-secondary research, whatever that path may be.
So I've done some work with the MIFA Pathways platform, so I'm just curious as to how this lines up. You know, are we looking to try to align with what they're doing in MIFA in terms of career and vocational planning? And how are the students going to track this sort of career and vocational transcripts, like in a meaningful way?
I've created a mock kind of document for our counselors as we're starting to work through what this really looks like. And it is kind of a checklist. So, you know, we're working with the career counselor that they're going to offer once a month a career seminar about one of the 16 clusters that are out there, and just educating the kids. And we are working with the MIFA to outline and MyCap to kind of collaborate the best of both worlds to demonstrate and to better benefit our students, utilizing both those resources.
Can I suggest something?
Yeah.
I think during the sophomore year, or even like the junior year, as a part of like the experiences part, you should add in like a required career fair where you have like people from like different careers for like students who have no idea what they want to do after, and like even have like some colleges attended, and like esthetician schools, like I know there's like Monarch and stuff like that, so students can have like the actual like discussion with people to learn about careers. And because I've found that like, yes, like the quizzes and surveys we've taken are helpful, but sometimes they're not like I think in my sophomore year I got like a garbage truck thing. Like it's not always as accurate.
Police officer.
Police officer or firefighter. Like it's not always as accurate, and I like didn't really learn much. So I think that would be very helpful.
And I think that's kind of what we're hearing from you guys. And so from that feedback, there might be modifications that we might come back to, saying like, hey, this didn't really work the way we intended it, but we're hearing what you guys are saying. And so we're just trying to put it so that consistently you guys have a similar experience.
Yeah. And I find that the college fair is very helpful too. Like, I think that should be a requirement instead of like being during our lunch block is very difficult, because obviously students want to go eat lunch, but they want to meet with like the college counselors. And that's why I think the college visits like from admissions counselors are also very helpful. But a lot of students don't know about it because they don't read like the guidance thing. So.
And I think that this will make it so that they can be a more active participant in knowing those things and seeing the resources that we do have to offer.
Any of this ever be, like, how are you delivering sort of the guidance curriculum now? Are you pushing into like advisories? And that's, so like, would some of these things be like planned push-ins where you're like going to be having lessons around?
We go into each English class every semester and have a lesson plan, and we have a whole curriculum that we've done and we've been doing, but we're taking the opportunity of having a new building, and I'm trying to revamp things. We've done well so far. I want to do better for our students. And so me and the team have really been kind of hiding away in my office every now and again when we can, as we prepare for APs next week, and kind of scaffolding it more, where like right now we just ask them to do the 40 hours of community service, and at freshman orientation I talk about breaking it up into the 10 hours a year, but now taking a more active role again and saying, let's have this community service day where we're showing you what this actually means and what it means to be involved in the community, and then letting them go off and do the rest of that community service piece. Then we're having them come to the seminars that we're going to hold in the Career Center where they learn about the different careers. Then they can go to the college fair in October and meet with the colleges. It's more of a tiered plan of having that full career plan.
Can I ask a quick question? My question kind of goes off of something that Carrie asked about the tracking, and just wondering if you had considered not to make more work for folks, because I know how much you all have on your plate, but consider it like a mini portfolio option. You said checklist, but if that had, was a conversation that could kind of be even more reflective, where students are actually able to, I don't know.
Also, so right now we have the platform of Naviance. And so we're looking at embedding that into our Naviance stuff. And again, we recognize that we're in a budget crisis right now. So how can we use our softwares that we already have in place better? And so through Naviance, we can build in plans that require students to do certain things. And so we're, again, just looking at doing a more active role and being more consistent and using stuff that we already have in place that is not going to cost the district more, and just thinking smarter, not necessarily harder.
And then one more question. Frank, maybe you can speak to this one about the community service half-day.
Yep.
Humanics in Action from Old Springfield College. What did you envision that looking like for the freshmen? Because I love the idea. I was just wondering what the vision was.
So it's right now, it's an idea. I'll just be honest with you. We haven't mapped out all the specifics of it. But the hope was to keep it local, keep it within the East Long Meadow community. We talked about potentially having to split it up where there might be groups of 40 going at a time, because I think trying to do all 200 on the same day is probably going to be tricky, and there might not be enough for them to do all on the same day. But it could be things like volunteering at the elementary schools, doing different cleanups around the community. We're spitballing different ideas, and we're going to try to map out different options, but we did realize it's probably going to have to be multiple days too, because they're also going to have kids who are absent who might miss one. So trying to make sure that we have opportunities more than just that one-off,
Or if we did it, some kids in the morning, some kids in the afternoon, and emphasize the day event, something like that.
And was it a conversation to extend it over across the 4 years at all, or just the freshman focus?
Right now, we're focused on that freshman and tiering it. And once you've got that community service aspect and starting to build that post-secondary portfolio and that resume and that kind of thing from the guidance standpoint. But who knows, it could be a huge hit and success. And then we come back and say, let's do this more. We're certainly open to doing more that benefit our students always.
There have been more things discussed connected to this idea. We don't want to go too big and make promises here we can't keep, especially if we're talking about a graduation requirement. So this is kind of where we saw as a starting point, and there might be more things layered in over time as we find success.
This is here to go big, new high school.
Exactly, that's what we're thinking.
Yeah, I love the idea. I like,
thank you.
As I've had one go through, and as a parent of a senior, I think anything you can do to inspire them early to start community service, and I would frankly love to see it 10, 10, 10 instead of the ability to sort of save up all your community service to the end.
So I emphasize that as a freshman guidance counselor. I emphasize. I lead them to the water, and whether they drink it or not is up to them. But this hopefully is a little bit more hand-holding, and
That they'll have an experience, I think, in the beginning, and help them make some connections based on whoever you work with for those days that then kind of inspire that connection. I'm sure you know it. We're paying for Naviance, but MIFA has a component where students can do reflections. Not sure how I know they're open to feedback in terms of tracking, but kind of leads a little bit to that portfolio piece.
We do have and I'm not sure if the plan was in MIFA, so I don't want to overstep, but we do have a reflection component connected to each year in the sheet that the department's created in terms of how they will go through each component. So when they complete the community service, there is a reflection component. When they go through the career readiness programming sophomore year, there's a reflection component. So
do you have,
let's make it more active.
Do you have in mind some sort of way you might assess this as you're moving through it? How to make changes, or if it's doing what you're hoping it's going to do?
yeah, I think we continue to monitor it and see get student feedback about how they're feeling about it, and looking at those profiles and seeing this year we have a really strong senior class, and seeing where our senior class is in maybe 4 years. How did we prepare them even better than we are now? And taking some of that anecdotal, all the data, looking at it across many different realms.
Is there any kind of plan for a student that doesn't complete this?
Yep, some students do need a little bit more support. And so that's why we're here, to meet our students where they're at and to make sure that we're giving them the support. And so I think this makes that happen a little bit more because of those reflective things being done. It's more obvious for us as counselors as well, because we're going to set those planners into place in Naviance. We'll know if they're doing it or not.
I see all of these things as doable. I don't think we're setting the bar too high or, putting a barrier in place which might prohibit kids from graduating. Like for example, if I'm looking at that junior year, job shadow, formal job interview, college campus visit, college trade school representative session, meeting with a military counselor. So many of those things we offer inside the building multiple times a month, So if I'm a counselor and I have a junior where I see he hasn't done this yet and it's April, guess what? I'm showing up at your class and we're taking a walk down the hall to go to this meeting,
And there will be those students, and that's okay. We have them now, we know them well.
Yep.
Those are some of our favorite students, in fact. So, yeah, we're ready for that.
How are you going to ensure that students are actually doing like the college campus visit or like the job interview? Like, is there going to be like a signed piece, or is there going to be like scheduled like college campus visits for like certain schools that they can attend?
When you guys go out on school business now to see a college tour, you had to come back with that form that says like, I was here for this thing. So we'll take stuff like that.
What if they do it like during a school break? Sorry, I didn't mean.
Oh, that's fine. You can still get that flyer. You can still get that, and the colleges are still open. They're more than happy to give that form that says you were here. We also have built really nice relationships with the different universities around us, so we can always call. I mean, Ms. Illingsworth's always willing to make the phone call. So we're unfortunately willing to make that call to verify too. We don't want to have to because you guys are all young adults and we want to trust the work that you're doing. But if we have to, we certainly will. And with interviews, again, our Career Center, Mr. Macarini, works hard to make those rapports with people in town and our employers. So if we have to say like, hey, we're just making sure, then we can do that. But that's a good point and a good question.
Yeah.
I know, the sun over there.
Before you move on with the program of studies and go into your next piece, there was an English language blurb that we needed to put in because of the civil rights. So it is there. They need to approve it. It's basically just says we provide this, that, and the other to ELL students. But it was found in the civil rights
It's going in the program of studies.
audit, yeah.
I think I already put it in there.
Yeah.
Last year.
No, it was this year, but you're getting approved.
Oh, you just
So I
put it
wanna
in.
make sure we're all good.
I just put it into the 25, 26.
It doesn't change anything.
No.
It's just
No.
language
Okay.
verifying that we've
Get anyone
already
to,
done it.
it's like, while you're here, I don't want you to have to come back if we have to get approval. All right, so it's not changing the program of studies, it's a blurb in the program study, so therefore they don't need to approve it. Okay, perfect. Right.
So the program of studies presentations is complete.
It is complete.
Now you would need a motion.
Isn't there another?
Isn't there a robotics?
That is not necessarily program of studies, it was just information that the school committee had asked for, that they were going to present next in terms of dual enrollment.
With this robotics?
I don't know.
Sorry, that was my typo. That was my, there is no robotics class already.
Oh, all right.
Sorry.
I was like, for
It
this,
was last year. It was at the bottom of the memo.
oh, I was like,
Sorry.
all right, that's okay. All right.
But that's
That was a spacing.
You printed it very early. You were right on top of it.
Yep.
All right. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the ELHS change program of studies as presented.
Motion made by Greg. Okay. Seconded by Amy. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0.
And I will just add, our plan is to put this into place for all 4 grades starting next year. We'll just obviously, for the sophomore, you're not going to be responsible for the freshman requirement. If you're a senior, you're only going to do that last piece of know, so we'll phase it in with each grade, but that freshman class will do all 4 components of this new graduation requirement.
All right,
It looks great, thank you.
thank you.
Next up, you were giving
Dual enrollment.
Yeah.
information on dual enrollment over the last few years.
Yep. So,
Yeah, so we just looked at some of the previous years of our dual enrollment numbers and how many students have enrolled. So in 2023, 24, we had 31 students that year. I will say, I did a little bit of digging previous COVID, we did have higher numbers. But our numbers have significantly decreased. But I predominantly wanted to look at 2023 and on. 2023, 24, we did have some students attending AIC, Greenfield, and Westfield. Westfield offered a program that one of our seniors was specifically looking at in computer science. And so they went there because they had better opportunities to attend at Westfield. So that was that. And then since then, we've really been leaning on our partnership with HCC, Holyoke Community College, and having our students there. Now, they do offer tuition assistance at HCC to attend their program. So, like this year in particularly, one student did pay for their course, but then HCC got the finances to reimburse that student for attending. So East Long Meadow High School does not accrue any financial burden with sending our students there. HCC is very supportive in getting our students there, scheduling the placement test, working with us to make sure our transcripts are, reflective of one another. And so these are just some of the basic numbers that we've pulled for you guys to present to tonight. Right now, in our scheduling process, we have 18 students that are looking at taking this opportunity up for next year's academic school year.
Great. How come we're only at HCC now? Just that unique year?
So.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
The other 3 schools you see listed in 23, 24, those are, we'll just say, there's some unique experiences connected to those. Majority of the time, we do send kids to HCC. We do on occasion have kids go to other schools. Sometimes they even go to Asnuntuck, which you don't see listed here. The big benefit to HCC right now is there's not a financial cost to any of it, and that's a big reason why we encourage our kids to look at their program.
Great.
HCC it's obviously a hike to get up there, but the majority of the kids who engage in their program do it online.
Remotely.
So.
Oh.
And what's the success rate? Are they all passing those courses, or are you finding that there's some students that then you're sort of scrambling? I mean, college environment, you're running a semester-long course that's 15 weeks. So if a student is failing that course, by the time you find out, then
The vast majority of our students do pass their courses that are over at the community colleges.
Yeah, we don't allow any kid to participate if they're a kid who might be potentially at risk of not graduating.
They have to be a student in good standing.
Yeah, so, and they have to apply, there's an application process too, so.
And there is always an outlier that, goes and then realizes, oh, this wasn't. And so unfortunately, that doesn't get demonstrated on their transcript from the high school. We don't give them that credit if they aren't successful, but they learned and they had the opportunity. We would not grant them the opportunity of doing dual enrollment if it put their graduation at jeopardy.
And finally, I think you were updating on changes we made with work-study program.
Yeah, so this is just more about where the program is at this year. So we had 33 students participate in the program this year. We've seen, as we've kind of tightened things up each year, the numbers have been shrinking. I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing because we're trying to do things with more fidelity. But 33 students participating this year. They exit the building during their G&H block. Sometimes that's at 11:45, sometimes that's at 12:45. It's that last hour of the day. Students have been submitting their time cards and assignments. They've attended work-study seminars either with Mr. Reed or with Mr. Macarini. And I believe today they actually received their end-of-program project that they're going to be working on over the last 4 weeks to conclude their work-study experience and high school career.
I think some of the question or concern was the rigorousness of this program. Having two daughters who've gone through it and actually benefit from it, they had jobs prior that just counted for the work study, and so basically they left school. And do we feel that there's value the way it's structured now, or could this be more of a bulked up kind of program? Thoughts on that?
I think we tried more this year. I'm not saying it can't be improved upon. I think when your daughters went through the program, they exited around 10:30, if I'm correct.
Right.
So we've significantly reduced the amount of time that they would exit, be out of the building. You know, some days it's only an hour a day at this point, versus that 3.5 hours every single day option.
Right.
Depending on their academic standing. If
Yeah.
they needed more time in our building to get those academics, we're making sure they get that time in the building.
It's just in my experience, my daughters, a lot of times they would just go home because they weren't working that day.
Yep.
So I always felt like, why don't you just stay in school and take another class, right? And so I'm just asking from that perspective that we're just making the most out of the program so that there is a benefit and that they're not missing out on time that they could be learning something else, even though they may not need the credits. They could be in a classroom instead of being home. That's really my thought.
I think having a daughter who's in the program now, it's beneficial, but she has found that connection on her own. So, you know, for students who they don't want to go to college or they're not really sure what they want to do, I see in terms of your earlier presentation, the real value of this work opportunity. And it's my perspective, you know, I don't know what I don't know. But I feel like the students would benefit from maybe a more robust portfolio of employers that we're working with, or maybe alums that live in the area that might be willing to take them on in a more mentoring capacity. Having a daughter who wants to go to cosmetology school, she was able to secure a job that's giving her that experience, that's enforcing that for her, but she kind of figure that out on her own. So, you know, again, I don't know what I don't know, but I think, you know, the value of the program is in building some more robust community connections.
And that's how I would envision it. That seems like how it should be. Is it something that students are interested in? They can learn, they can try it out. They, you know, they can leave school to do that.
Find a different fit if that original fit is not working with them. Yeah, again, we're going into a new building next year, and my department has a lot of energy to bring the level of service that we're offering our students. Not that we're not already doing it, but we just want to step it up. We're in a brand new building. There's all this excitement towards it. Let's just take that excitement and run with it and do some really great stuff with the kids and highlight it so that you guys can see a little bit more of it. Because again, we do some of this stuff, we just don't talk about it because it's innate to us at this point in time. But we certainly can, you know, make an effort to make sure that you're more visible to everyone and active, that the community can see what we're doing.
And I know this body would be interested in learning more, and as we go forward, as it becomes more robust, and hearing more of these success stories.
Being a part of like, sort of like an art show, if there's an opportunity to walk through and hear about their experiences, if they're able to present, that would be great.
Cool.
Okay, we'll take that feedback.
All right,
Thank you.
I think that was,
Thank you both.
Hey,
Thank you.
thank you guys for your time tonight.
Back in.
We got events at the high school this week.
Yes,
You're always welcome.
Thursday.
Everybody's wearing their pool floats.
Yeah. That is not school sanctioned.
Frank, a little before 3 tomorrow, you're going to get a bunch of people showing up. We're going to do another high school tour, just outside your office, just so you know why they're all there. I'll be there too.
Oh, this,
After dismissal.
Yeah, a little before 3 o'clock.
bring your pool floats.
Nope. Tour.
Mark's not going to allow those in the building. And we're all set for the library for the.
Yeah, emailed it.
Pam, are you able to do that, move management? We'll go to the library tomorrow?
What's at the library?
Management?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, but that's a virtual.
Oh, we're going to go to the library.
Oh, they're changing it. I'm so sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Good thing you said that. Yes, I'll be there. Thank you.
I just changed, it just got changed now.
That's now you changed it? Okay.
just now.
They're working behind the scenes.
Okay.
Literally.
Library.
No, we have one more.
Fully
I
released.
do?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, we're done. I already checked it off.
Speaking of the building.
All right.
Yeah, so,
Next item.
so just as Mr. Thompson said, speaking of the building project, having just moved central office, which is a very small move considering what the entire high school is going to have to do once we get to June 17th. It's been recommended that we go with early release days. We have an early release day on the 17th, but that those final 3 days, if we can do early release days for the high school only, that would allow staff and students to organize, pack, and make sure we're ready. So on the 17th, stuff is moving out. On the 18th, Fontaine is moving in. And on the 19th, who knows? Maybe there's no building left.
So that we can move in on time in the fall.
Correct. All of this is geared so that we can keep the project on schedule. And we're learning as we go along, and we learned that it's a significant amount of organizational time and just labor to make all this happen. And we were able to take 2 days prior to the vacation to finalize packing in central office and student support services. But then we still had an entire move day over the vacation week. And if you visit us over at Carter Monday, when we're not building games, you'll see that we still have many boxes that are left to be unpacked and placed in offices. So the recommendation would be that we allow the high school to have early release days on the additional to the 17th, the 15th, and the 16th.
Need a motion? Yes, someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for the high school to have early release days on the 15th, June 15th and June 16th.
Second.
Carrie made the motion and Greg seconded it. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you very much.
We'll have to message that out pretty quick.
Greatly appreciated.
Yes.
Sure, we'll be messaging that out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think that's no benefit for, so thank you, LCAP.
Whatever, you get out early enough.
Yeah. Good job tonight. Good questions and suggestions. And a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Carrie, seconded by William. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And that passes 5-0.